I've played these games before! What's poppin', yo? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're taking a look at Squid Game Season 3. We're reviewing the third season of Squid Game here on the channel. We've reviewed the first two back when the second one came out. Now we're taking a look at the third one, and I am very, very excited to take a look at this. We are going down an episode. I'm going to be honest, there's only 6 episodes in this season, roughly an hour long each, so you can easily watch it in 6 hours like I did. I binge watched the whole series back to back to back, and I genuinely really enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of criticism online about this movie, but I think it was decent. So we'll get into my thoughts and opinions in just a little bit, because we do have to quickly head over to Google to see what they have to say about Squid Game Season 3, the rating, and then we'll quickly run through the story as well. So without any further delay, let's take a look at what Google has to say about Squid Game. So again, it's got 6 episodes. It can be watched exclusively on Netflix. It has an 8 out of 10 on IMDb and an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it came out in 2025. And it is a thriller, which is pretty cool. So, how the story kicks off is exactly where we left off, with our main guy, 456, being brought back into the main games area, and he is feeling guilty, he's feeling upset, he doesn't want to eat, he doesn't want to do anything because he feels like all those lives are his responsibility, and he got them all killed. He's then chained to a bed because he wants the guards to kill him, and the guards don't want to do that because he makes the games interesting. We then vote to leave or stay. We vote to stay because most of the voters to leave ended up dying in this sort of raid that they tried to do, and they then play hide and seek, where you get organized into blue team or red team. Red team runs around with a knife to kill blue team runs around with a key, either circle, square, or triangle, which unlocks certain doors, and when doors are unlocked, they can't be locked again, which leads to a plot hole when some of our characters end up, finding the exit, and then they open it, but then they lock it again as well. The exit door seems to be the only door that locks again, unfortunately. But yeah, we have 222 actually give birth during this game, and the army girl, the absolute unit, the absolute legend that she is, ends up saving them and fighting and protecting them, and unfortunately gets killed by 333 in this game as well, who was running around with Thanos' little clone, who sang Scenario, and also was acting like Billy and Stu from Scream. We then, end up moving on. 456 ends up killing Top Knot. I don't know their names and I forget their numbers, so, he ends up killing Top Knot out of guilt, blaming him entirely, and the mum kills the son, and then ends up killing herself because of the guilt. She then before she kills herself, the old lady tells 456 to look after the baby and to look after the 222. They end up voting again, staying in the games, going to the next one, which is skipping jump rope. You got to get across this bridge whilst this rope is spinning, very similar to Glass Bridge. 456 ends up going second, carrying the baby with him because the baby is now classified as a player. Drug addict got knocked off because he lost the cross, and Minsu found it, threw it to the middle of the bridge, so he went through and got knocked off his feet. Minsu then goes across, but he's tripping, and he's happy, he loves it. 333 manages to get across after trying to take 222. 222 says she doesn't want to even attempt, but I think she could hop if she fucking tried. If she hopped, she could fucking try and get across. I feel like you could hop on one leg and manage to do that. It's worth a fucking try, but she ended up throwing herself off the cliff and dying. Unfortunately, I did cry here. We then have 456 looking after the baby. Only 8 people made it across this game. Everyone else got wiped out. So they have their suit up, and the frontman tells 456, "Hey, do you want to do you want a knife to kill everybody in the sleep?" He doesn't do that because number 67 from the first game shows up and says, "You're not like that," and I was so fucking gassed that she showed up, and he doesn't kill any of them. They play Squid Game, but in the sky, where they have to knock someone off every time, and obviously they can't separate the baby and 456, so they keep him alive. Kill Minsu, who actually sees Thanos, which is sick that Thanos returned. because he's tripping. He is, you know, going insane because he is desperate for drugs. He's addicted. He's going through withdrawals. Then we have 333 team up with 456 and the baby to knock everyone else off the platform. Then 333 then decides, you know what, no, you can stay there and I'm going to kill the baby and take the money for myself. 456 doesn't agree with that, so he kills 333 and then kills himself, saying, "We are not horses, we are humans, humans are," and then falling off the cliff, looking directly at us, telling us that, you know, we shouldn't be enjoying this, we shouldn't be watching this, because, you know, we shouldn't be being entertained by this, because this is human lives that we're watching being played with. We then have the frontman take the baby, give it to his brother, who ended up finding the island as it was exploding. Well done him. Great job. The fisherman captain killed everybody, and his best mate got thrown in prison after finding out that the fisherman worked for the, you know, for the games. We then have the guard story. She rescued the other guy, and then went back into the games, destroyed all the evidence, which didn't fucking matter because the island was blowing up anyway, and she has, you know, got to go on a plane to find her own baby. So their stories were fucking pointless, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, we then have 456's kid getting all of his money, which I think is really, really good, because, you know, at least she gets something from her dad dying. And that's Squid Game Season 3. I'm going to be honest, one of the main issues with this season is that it is pretty much just the rest of Season 2. It is just the rest of Season 2. It doesn't feel like a new season. It feels like Season 2 Part 2. It does not feel like a separate season. Like, you could have just put this all in Season 2, and it would have worked just fine. But Netflix has been doing this thing where they're splitting up seasons. They did it with 7 Deadly Sins for Horses of the Apocalypse, where they split up Season 1 into 2 parts. And they're doing it with Sandman, splitting that up into 2 parts. They're doing it with Stranger Things, splitting that up into 3 parts for the final season, just to drag it out. They want to drag it out, they want to build as much hype as possible and keep that hype going so that they can sell more merch, sell more subscriptions, get more people on the service, get more people staying for longer and watching their hype. And you know what? There is a lot of memes that has come from this season. I feel like hide and seek was definitely in the Reds' favor. 100% if you were red, you were guaranteed a win. Barely any blues survived this. And if you were a blue, there is countless places that you couldn't have hid because there was no fucking hiding spots. That was not hide and seek. That was a fucking maze. That was run and don't die. A lot of people hid behind doors because that was the only fucking place you could hide. There was those big drops where you could hide on a ledge, but still, it was probably unviable because they had a knife and you didn't. You had a key. So I do feel like hide and seek was definitely a piss take and much in the Reds' favor. So whoever was on red team and decided to swap to blue, you're fucking stupid. You are very fucking stupid. I loved 333 and the junkie in that game mode. I thought it was really fun. Thought it was really exciting. I was sat at the edge of my seat. I was sat like L from you know, Death Note, because it was so intense and I was so on edge throughout the entire series. I'm gonna be honest, every time there was a game, I was on edge. I was so excited. I was there. I was like, shit, damn, what's gonna happen? Oh my god, I am here for it. It's so tense, so brutal. I was so gassed and I cried quite a few times during the series because my characters that I liked died. 222 was the biggest one. I was upset when she died. She sacrificed herself and I was livid that she didn't even try. She didn't accept help from 333. I would have... I thought 333 was trying to be a better father, you know, trying to help and, you know, tried to do it. And because the trailers spoiled the jump rope game, I knew for a fact that when she sprained her ankle in hide and seek that she wasn't gonna make it through the second game. So the trailer actually spoiled that for me, not gonna lie. Yeah, I knew she wasn't gonna make it, but I was taking mass copium, and I do believe she should have at least tried to hop, because I hopped for a little bit, and I've seen it on TikTok where loads of other people are hopping around holding a baby or the equivalent to a baby, trying to make it across this bridge, jumping high enough to get over the rope, but also jumping in a straight enough line that they didn't fall off. I know that they don't have the pressure of the guards or the pressure of the height or the pressure of actually dying, but like, it is still worth a try. If you're just going to throw yourself off anyway, you might as well try and do it. You might as well try and make it across. Like, I know that big gap in the middle is going to be a big issue to, like, jump and land and balance, but it's worth a try to like at least give it a go. And you know, if you at least give it a go, you can say you've tried. Because if you're just gonna throw yourself off anyway, what's the point? Like, yeah. But I was genuinely. This is one of the few shows where I've actually shouted at the TV. I get annoyed when people shout at the TV because, like, dog, they can't hear you. It's pre-filmed or it's football, so they're not going to hear you fucking shouting. They're 3 miles away. What's the point? But this time, I was genuinely shouting at the TV, and I don't normally do that. I'm very much against that, but when the army girl found the exit, I was fucking screaming at her to go back and get 222, because if she left them, I would have been so upset, so livid, because 222 was the GOAT. And you know what, Army Girl was a fucking MVP. She was a legend. She was doing so well. I was so proud of her, and she was genuinely the GOAT. And I was also screaming at, like, other people to, like, do stuff, because when they were stood there with the son and the mother, fucking 222 stood there. She could have opened that door and left, but she didn't. What the fuck was she doing? Like, dog, she was stood there while the mum and son were talking, doing fuck all. Open the fucking door and leave. All you had to do was turn that last key. Turn the last key, open the door, and leave. But she didn't. She just fucking stood there. And it's like, dog, you had plenty of time. You had all the time in the world to fucking get out. And when they were just stood there staring at the keys, it's like, none of these people have fucking urgency. There is urgency to this situation. Fucking open the door and get it. Acting was brilliant. Story for the main part, I think, was brilliant. The messages this time around were definitely a lot more about guilt and betrayal and the human. Obviously, humans are human and they're not there to be treated like shit and to be treated for your own amusement. And people will do anything for money. So, like, you know, this money system has to change because the state of the economy right now is terrible. A lot of good messages that no one is going to get because we're probably going to get a Beast Game Season 2. But I really enjoyed this, and it is a straight 9 out of 10.